What's up, everybody? My name is Josh LaFleur from Late Start Piano. Today I'm going to be giving you your homework for the year. This is going to be your 2025 New Year's resolution, your goals for this year if you are a brand new piano player who is an adult and you want to learn how to play. So this is specifically for the adults, like I just said. You don't have any kind of musical experience, you've never played the piano, you've never played anything else. You don't really have any goals for the piano for this year because you probably don't know how to make any goals because you have no experience. So I'm going to give you some goals, some resolutions you can have for yourself, a kind of goal post that you can aim for this year for 2025, things that you can do to ensure that you are progressing at the piano the way you want to, and ultimately that you can play the songs that you love and unlock that creativity within yourself. So with all that out the way, we're going to talk about point number one, which is don't underestimate the importance of a good bench/piano. So I think a lot of people, even if you never played before, they understand that pianos come in all different kinds of quality and sizes, right? You can buy a piano that's on Amazon for a couple $100. You can buy a Steinway piano for 50,000, and you can buy anything that's in between that, $200 to 50,000 and more for that matter. People understand the importance of pianos. They understand, for the most part, weighted keys on pianos. I made another video about that, talking about that if you don't know what that is, but you should get a piano with weighted keys. What kind of gets underestimated or kind of gets overlooked is your quality of your piano bench. And why does this matter so much? Why does the bench specifically matter so much? Well, the first reason is if you're not comfortable in your piano bench, then it's going to be very difficult for you to practice. So if you just have some kind of wooden stool and it hurts your butt every time you sit down and you can't sit there for more than 10 minutes, chances are you're probably not going to be doing a lot of practicing because it's physically uncomfortable for you to practice on a bench like that. Second point is if you don't have a good bench, you're going to be fighting yourself a lot when you're playing. And that's not something you want to do, especially if you're a beginner. The reason why a crappy bench makes you fight yourself is because you're not at the perfect height for you. So if you have a bench that is uncomfortable and a bench that is not adjustable, then you might be sitting way too high at the piano, you might be sitting way too low at the piano, you might be sitting too far back from the piano or way too close, depending on the adjustments of the bench. And if you can't adjust it, then there's nothing you can really do to change it, right? And there are some adjustable benches that you may have seen where you can kind of slide the legs up or down and you basically put the pin in the pinhole and it stays there. That's okay. To be honest, that's not good enough because you want to have a bench where you can make those micro adjustments. So it's great if you can slide the bench up and down and put the pin in, but what if you're in between two holes? What if you're in between two settings on the bench? Then you kind of have to pick. Do you want to sit too high or do you want to sit too low? And I'm telling you, you don't want to do that. You want to be able to make those micro adjustments on the bench. So what I have and what I recommend that you get if you're just starting is get a piano bench that has a wheel on the side. And you'll see this on Amazon is where I got mine. But you want the piano bench that has an actual wheel. So you twist it and you can make the tiniest of adjustments until you find the perfect sitting spot for you. And once you're sitting correctly and you have much better technique and everything's in alignment, it's going to make your playing a lot easier. You're going to be making less mistakes. You're going to be able to play a lot faster. And you're going to be working with yourself rather than fighting against yourself. So that's point number one. That's a big one. Invest in a good piano. Yes, everybody knows that. But also invest in a good piano bench. Again, something that really gets overlooked often. Point number two is you want to learn how to read music. Reading music can be intimidating for a lot of people, especially if you've never done it before and you have no idea where to start. But there's plenty of resources online that can get you started. You can also work out of a method book. I work out of the Alfred's series, the All-in-One. The Level 1 All-in-One Alfred's book will teach you how to read music. So it's a great place to start. If you don't have a teacher or you don't want to watch a bunch of YouTube videos or anything, you can just work out of the book and it will teach you how to read music all the way through. Especially for piano, I think it's very helpful to read music, especially if you want to play classical pieces. then you definitely need to know how to read music. If you're looking to just to play more modern things, or if you're looking to use more of a chord style approach, just play songs based off chords, then you can get away with not reading music. But if you want to learn melodies, playing individual notes, and you want to learn classical music for sure, and you just want to become a better musician overall, right? Then you should learn how to read music. It's also going to help you understand what's happening in music. So if your ear is not that good, you can't really hear what's happening, you can read exactly what they're doing. It's going to help you understand the piece much better as well. So definitely learn how to read music. It doesn't take as long and it's not as difficult as you might think it is. It's actually pretty easy. There's a lot of acronyms that you can use to kind of help you figure out. You can use the landmark system. So you basically, you know where your C is, and you can figure out all the other notes just by knowing that one note. And it's just like reading. You know, once you can kind of read music, like the alphabet, for example, once you know your alphabet, it's much easier for you to read because you have all the letters now and you can kind of combine things. You're not looking at each individual letter every time you read, right? Same thing with reading music. You'll start to see patterns in the sheet music and you don't have to read every single individual note. You'll know what the music is telling you from a wider view. You'll have a much bigger and better picture of things. You won't be so microscopic once you get to that point. And it really doesn't take that long, maybe 6 months, maybe less than that. If you're really dedicated, you can read music pretty well. So definitely learn how to read music. Point number 3 is you want to learn your scales. Scales are very important as well. If you don't know what a scale is, it's basically a sequence of notes played in a specific order. So C major, you start on C, you play specific notes that are in a specific order, and you go up to C, and then you play back down to the C. There's a little bit more technical pieces as far as the formula that's used, as far as using whole steps and half steps that people use for every major scale. It's not really that important right now, at least if you're just a beginner, but learn your scales. One book that I used to use when I was learning my scales, and I still reference it from time to time, is, again, this Alfred's book. It's called The Complete Book of Scales, Chords, Arpeggios, and Cadences. It looks like that. This is a great, great, great resource for you, especially if you're brand new, because it's going to teach you how to play every single scale. It's going to give you the exact fingerings that you should use. It's also going to break down the chords based off each scale note, each position, okay? It's a lot of information, but I think once you learn like a couple scales, let's say you learn C major, which is easy, it's just all the white notes. You start at C, play up to C, go all the way back down. Once you learn C major, let's say you learn G major and then D major, those are great 3 beginner scales to learn. And then you're going to kind of start to see how scales are developed, and it's the same formula for every single major scale. So once you know the formula, you can apply it to every other major scale and you can learn how to play it. But that's a great book to learn how to do that. What scales do is, first of all, it teaches you music theory, so you can understand the concepts of basically how music is made, how intervals are made, how chords are made, a whole bunch of stuff. You can also learn how to move up and down the piano, because when you play scales, you're going up at least 1 octave. Octave being from C to C. So you have to move up and down the piano. It's going to work on your technique because you're going to have to move freely. It's also going to work on your making sure you're playing without tension, because in order to move up and down, especially if you're trying to go at faster speeds, you have to eliminate a lot of tension in your hands. Scales are going to help you do that. It's also just going to help you, again, just learn how to actually play. If you've never played before, it can be really overwhelming to figure out what to play, and scales can really help you a lot just with getting hands on the keys. That's all. Just putting hands on the keys, going up and going down, just getting that muscle memory kind of built in for you. So super helpful. Next thing you want to do, again, is get that Alfred's book I just told you. You also want to learn chords as well. So this Alfred's book, the all-in-one, is going to teach you chords. Piano playing is a lot about chords. Okay, it's a lot of arpeggios, which is just chords broken up. It's a lot of everything there is to know about piano. I mean, you have your harmony and you have your melody. Melody is the part everybody remembers. It's that individual notes. If I ask you to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, you can hum the song, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. You can actually sing the song. That's the melody. Harmony is the chords. That's the underneath pattern of chords. And again, it's everywhere when you play the piano. So you need to learn how to play chords. This Alfred's book, All in One, is going to teach you exactly how to do that. So will a lot of the method books as well. But you want to start learning chords, your major chords, your minor chords early on, so that you can get as much exposure to them as possible. It's going to make your life a lot easier down the road. Next point is you want to get a teacher. So you can also get a teacher if you can. I know this isn't really for everybody because some people don't have the money or they don't want to pay for it, whatever. But if you can get a teacher, super helpful. I've talked about this so many times, but they can help you point out what you're doing wrong. They can help fix your technique. They can help you learning new songs. They can help you with your phrasing and rhythm, which is two big things that beginners struggle with, is their phrasing and their rhythm. Basically what that means, the rhythm is how the song is played. Is it all quarter notes? Is it just one whole note? There's probably going to be some eighth notes in there, some 16th notes. That's the rhythm. And the phrasing is, are you holding notes for too long? Are you cutting off notes for too short? Are you leaving them early? Are you playing, a dotted quarter note for the appropriate amount of time? Things like that. And it's very tough to hear this, especially if you're brand new. You might think you're playing it really well, and actually you're not playing it well. And that's where your teacher can help you get this figured out and help you on your way. Next point is a metronome. Same thing with the metronome. You want to use a metronome to help keep your phrasing correctly. Especially if you don't have a teacher, you can always use your metronome to make sure you're staying in time. It can be tough to count every beat as you're playing, especially if you're a beginner. So using a metronome can help you stay on time and in track while you do this. And it's super cheap. They're maybe $5 or $10, and it's going to help you get better and improve faster, guaranteed. You can set the metronome at a slower tempo. Once you can play the full song through, or the full scale through at that slower tempo, up it by 5 beats per minute, and then keep practicing that until you can play it at the faster tempo, right? It's also a good way, metronomes are a good way to actually measure your progress. Yes, let's say, yes, you can play something at 80 beats per minute. Can you play it at 85 beats per minute? If you can't right now, and then a week later after practicing, you can play it at 85, then you're improving. You know you're improving because you can play the song at a faster tempo, and before you cannot reach that tempo. So metronomes are super helpful. Use it when you practice. Next point is, I think it's important as well to just get creative. I think a lot of times beginners struggle with, they don't know what to do. They really want like exact guidance, which is a good thing to have. But also, feel free to just sit down and just play random notes. And I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, literally just play random notes. See what sounds good to you. Play notes in the left hand, play notes in the right hand, try different shapes. See what sounds good to you. Once you find something that does sound good, then try to give it a name. That's where the music theory piece comes in. Try to give what you're playing a name so that you can recognize it when you hear it later in pieces. It can help you work on your improvising. So if you learn something you like, you can kind of throw that in there in your riff or whatever that you're playing. And it can just help your creativity. You can help figure out what you like on the piano when you kind of explore it. Just do some exploring on the piano, figure out what you like, what you don't like, and it's going to help you with a lot of things, like I just said, including your creativity. It can also help you to write songs as well if that's one of your goals with the piano. Last point is you want to have fun. So make sure you're having fun with the piano. Some people take it very seriously. Not that you shouldn't take it seriously, but they're more perfectionists and they get upset with themselves that they're not playing a song perfectly the first time they see it. Make sure you always have fun with the piano. You don't want to constantly be working on your technique or constantly working on something that you don't like, because you're going to get burned out and you're going to want to quit. So instead of that, I would recommend at the end of every practice session, you play something that you like. Whether it's a song that you've already learned and you just want to play it to have fun, if you want to improvise, if you like doing that, if that's something fun, if you want to try to learn a song by ear, just put the song on and try to figure out the notes just by listening to it. Whatever you consider fun, whatever it is that you started to play the piano, why, just do that at the end of your practice session. You can do that for the last 5 minutes. You can end on a good note so that you can trick your brain into saying, yeah, I struggled earlier on in this practice session, but I ended on a good note. I ended on something I really enjoy doing. It's going to help you come back for the future as well. So you can come back to that next practice session. So those are just some of your New Year's resolutions. I would love to hear what you have, if you have other plans or other goals with the piano for 2025. Of course, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. One more thing just to close out. If you are one of those people who do want more of a systematic approach and you want more of a hands-on guidance learning with the piano, I do have a free guide, it's a free PDF that you can download on my website, www.latestartpiano.com. This guide is going to give you 34 essential tips that brand new beginners need to learn at the piano, specifically for adults. These tips are going to help you play songs a lot faster, play songs a lot easier, avoid fighting yourself like we talked about before. And they're also going to help you unlock your creativity and avoid a lot of the pitfalls that I made within my first year of playing the piano. So again, if that sounds interesting to you, all you have to do is go to www.latestartpiano.com, click on the big bright purple button on that page, enter in your name and email address, and you'll have instant access to that free guide. Hope that all helps. Again, my name is Josh LaFleur from Late Start Piano.